What's going on, everyone? Welcome to it is our guide to the beginning of Bloodborne. So a starting guide, beginner's guide, however you want to put it. But we're going to be talking. So in our first episode, we talked about how to make our character, some ideas, and my personal opinions on a good character class to start with. And then we're kind of going from there. This is part 2. We're going to be talking about the beginning. Once you make your character, what's going to happen, going to what is called as the Hunter's Dream, your sanctuary, your hub, and we're going to be going over our basic attacks and how they work. So that's going to be the first video for this one, or I should say the second video, or the video for part 2. Yeah, excuse me if I'm going up. Also, let me give a big thank you for all the subs, all the things, and if you're liking these starting guides, definitely you want to see more. We're going to be trying to do at least 2 a week if possible, so keep an eye out for that. We'll be going through Bloodborne. I think we'll be doing Demon Souls next after that, and then maybe Mortal Shell, and then getting into the Dark Souls games, and then also maybe some roguelites like Curse of the Dead Gods and other things. I got a big set of games I want to definitely do these on. So, but anyway, let's begin. All right, so we wake up, we get off the slab, we see our cutscene, everything like that. We got our character. First thing we see is a note here. We can hit X to inspect it. That's going to be one of the first things. I'm not going to go ahead because, again, these are non-spoiler stuff. There will be some little things that you will see that you're going to obviously, but it's just the beginning. I'm not going to, like I said, I don't want to get any spoilers and I show you the bosses or anything like that and stuff. I'm just going to give you ideas of what you do when you start up and everything like that. All right, and we're going to go through the basic movements once we get into the hub world and everything like that. So now what we're going to just do is we're just going to go over here. We're going to open the door using our interact button, which is X. That X button is going to be used a lot, from looking at notes to opening doors to picking up things. And what we're going to do, so we're going to run into our first enemy here, and I'm going to show you guys how we use the lock-on. All right, so we talked about this before as well. These are the notes that you will find. Right now, these are the ones left by developers. They're just showing you how to fight and stuff like that, giving you an idea how to lock on. I'm going to show you guys how to do that as well. I'm not going to really get into the fighting stuff just yet because I'm going to wait till we pick up our first weapon, and then I will show you the basic moves and things like that. However, I will show this. So right now, if we see this enemy over here, this big, burly, furry creature, werewolf-looking thing, just eating away, and we're going to... So if we were to look at it like this, right? So if we were to fight it and we were running around like this is kind of chaotic, right? You're just kind of like, I don't know where the enemy's going. So what we do is we hit R3. Now you can see that we put a little bit of a pin or a point on him. You can see how much health it has. And on top of that, your eyes are always on your enemy. That's going to be a key feature, without a doubt, or a key thing you're going to want to do when you're fighting stuff. You're going to want to do that. Later on, when you get much better, you're going to get to the point where you really don't need to use that. Some people do. Some people don't use them. I still, to this day, I love using my lock-ons because I can do the dance, as I call it, the dance of death, where I can kind of just go around my enemy, and then we kind of do the dance, and we fight, and everything like that. So that's the idea of a lock-on. All right, so this beginning, now this is where kind of Bloodborne really throws you in. This enemy right here, though you can see it's only half health, is a strong enemy. It's meant to kill you. There's a reason behind it, is that it's supposed to make you so when you die, you go to the Hunter's Dream. Now, like anyone, like myself later down the line, as I've gotten better at this game, as I've gotten, like, if I learned the game a lot, I was like, well, what happens if I kill the enemy? Right? Now, all the Souls games kind of have, like, that one enemy that is, like, in the beginning, it's like, oh, well, should I kill it or should I leave it alone? You can kill this. This is actually a good practice one too for dodging and getting used to, but the thing is you have no weapons yet. You're only just using your fist, and that's all you have. So again, it's made to kill you. So my advice in the beginning, personal opinion, just get killed by it, get sent off to the next place is where we're going to be going. So we're going to do that right now. We're just going to hit him, anger him for a minute, and let him just slice away. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you. He didn't think the first time enough was done. He needs to come back and just make sure it's completely taken care of. I want to see nothing left of this person. All right, so there's the beginning, right? So that's supposed to happen. People that first get in the game and they get killed by that, and then they see the you died thing, they're like, did I do something wrong? And whatnot. No, you're actually supposed to see that. I'm going to cut through that cutscene. because I want you guys to see all these cutscenes on your own and everything like that. You know, I want you to experience all this stuff on your own. But the reason for these guides is to give you a good knowledge, a good feel for when you first get into the game. And, you know, you have a little more of that knowledge behind you to be like, okay, I feel confident for what I'm about to go. You know, I'm about to take this game on. I feel confident about it. So that's the idea behind these guides, and I hope that's the case. And in the comment section, let me know if you know, after seeing these, if you are feeling confident when you first go in, if you feel confident to play, and especially if there's something you want to know or want to learn, please let me know in the comment guides or the comment sections, and let me know what you have. All right, so where are we? We're in the Hunter's Dream, which is a beautiful place. And what we're doing in here is we're starting out. So this is where we first go. And again, I also want to emphasize that you died thing that you saw when we first, you're going to see that a lot. Don't be aggravated by that. Don't be intimidated by that. It's there to make you realize, okay, I died. How did I die? And what can I do to improve that I don't see that screen? And that's really what these games are all about, is that you died, you're dead, you're lost, whatever the case, you've fallen, whatever the thing might be, is always a way to basically be like, all right, how can I improve to not see that screen again? What did I do wrong? What pattern do I need to learn from this enemy, this boss, etc., etc.? We talked about that originally. So let's get into this. We're going to go ahead. We're going to pick up our first weapons and such, which are going to show up here on these stairs. So we can see 3 things are showing up here. We're not going to worry about her just yet, although she is going to be a key feature, but we're going to talk about that when after we've gotten everything and such. What I want to do here for part 2 is I want to talk about getting our weapon here. Again, in my personal opinion, we're going for that strength character. Let's get that Hunter's Axe. It's one of the best starting strength weapons. Now for the second thing, we have 2 guns. We have a pistol and a blunderbuss. These are used to parry and stun. My personal opinion, especially being up and up in front of people with that big axe and everything like that, the blunderbuss is a great weapon for parrying. Or stunning, I guess you could say, or getting what is called visceral attacks. And we're going to talk about how that works. And then we're going to come up here. We're going to get a notebook. What that does is that allows us to leave notes if we're playing online, and allows us to look at other notes as well too. So if we're online, so you can see why these games are kind of built with the online mode, is those notes that players leave behind to learn things, to troll, or to help. All that stuff is going to be there. Now let's talk a little bit about what we're looking at. We're going to go deeper into this place. That's actually going to be part 3. We're going to really go deeper in because I'm going to grab another of my characters that got everything opened up. Or actually, we'll just take this character through when we get our first insight. Let's talk about, all right, so let's talk about what we're seeing on the screen, and then let's talk about how we equip our weapon and how we use it. And then that will be the end of this video. And then the next one, we'll get into the world a little bit, we'll do some fighting, and then we'll come back here, and we'll see all the changes once we get our first insight. So let's first talk about, and let me put this so you can see everything and no problem, because I realize, okay, that's good. Actually, here, let's do this. Okay, we're going to look at the ground for a little bit, but the reason we're doing that is I want you guys to see the top left hand and the top right hand. Let's start with the top left hand. Top left hand is your health. So we talked about that in the first video. Your vitality, your big red bar, right? It's going to get bigger as you put more points into it. The green is your endurance, your stamina, also going to get bigger as we put more points into that. Below that, that little jar right there, that's got a 0 next to it, that's your blood vials. Those are going to be your health potions. So you're going to want to get those as we go. Those are going to drop from enemies, or you can buy them. And you can use your blood echoes, which we talked about originally in the first one, which is also on the right side of the screen, but right now we have none. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Is what you're going to do to purchase all your, it's going to be basically, it's going to be your currency for a lot of things, whether it be leveling up or purchasing items and stuff. Now below that, you'll see those kind of, we talked about before, I think the bullets and whatnot. I might have gone over this screen originally in the first one. And if I did, I apologize. I'm going over it again, but I just want to make sure. And then in the right-hand side of the screen, we've got where it's going to be our blood echoes. The upside-down pitchfork-looking thing is going to be our blood echoes. And the eye is what is called insight. Once you get your first insight, that's when things are going to start appearing. Like the doll over here is going to be awakened and alive, and you're going to be able to see more of these messengers over here. There is one thing I want to show you before we get into our weapons, because once you get here for the first time, this is kind of cool to do, is you go to the back of the house. And because especially now, I think that Bloodborne always comes as like the special edition or the big edition or whatnot. So there's actually a little thing you can get, which is kind of like, I think before, back in the day when you first pre-ordered it or when you first bought, and depending if you bought like the special edition, whatever the edition was, you can get this little hat that you can put on your messengers. And I like to make my little messengers look like little Mr. Graves. So we put a top hat on them, and that's what you'll see every time you see those messengers. So that's just something a little cool you can do right in the beginning. And now we'll go from there. All right, so let's talk about how we equip our weapon and how we use our weapon. So if we hit the start button, now we open up our main stuff, right? We have our inventory, which we'll go over all this in part 3 or 4. And we have our stats. Now, another cool thing about this, as I talked about in the beginning, now I went over all these stats in the beginning. However, there's a lot of new ones you don't see, or there's a lot of new ones you see that you haven't seen before. You can actually, if you see down the bottom there, you can hit R3, and you can get a help, which allows a little bit more information on each of the things. It also talks about the different resistances, the different damage reductions, these runes, we'll talk about those as well ourselves. And then your different types of attack values that you have. So right now with our hand, 25, just all the way around. And then talks about how much health we have, how much stamina we have. So this is cool to go through as well. If you ever want to like refresh, recap, you can do it this way. All right. Then we have our arms. The first 2 are our main hand. The second 2 are our offhand. So basically you're looking at it as our main weapon, which right now we're going to go ahead and equip this by hitting X. We're going to hit circle to get back out. We're going to go to the second, or I should say the third box, but the second or the first in the arms category or offhand category. And we're going to go ahead and put the blunderbuss in there. Same thing, hit circle. And then you can see down here, this is our different attires. So as we pick up different pieces of armor, and we'll talk about those more in third or fourth part. And then our quick items, again, we'll talk about those as well in the third or fourth video. All right, so here we go. We've got our starting weapon in our hand, and our main weapon, and we've got our shotgun. So let's go through pretty quick here what we can do with these. So again, and I don't believe I went over this before. So this is actually, I say again, but that was because I just made a video of this before, but I realized it got like 19 minutes in, and I didn't want it to be that long. I want these to be at least between 10 and 15 minutes. So let's get right to it. So the first thing you can do is your R1 is your light attack. As you can see here, we can get multiples of those. Where R2, heavy attack, they take a little longer and they take more stamina, so that green bar, as you can see, is going down. Now you can also hold the R2 for a much heavier attack. Now, a difference in this game, and a big thing they've added on, is what is called the switch weapons. Switch weapons allow you to change the weapon form into different styles. So, we hit L1, and now we've turned this thing into an Executioner's Axe. And now, by hitting this 3 times, 1, 2, 3, we get a combo. So we get a wide swing, a smash down, wide swing, smash down, and, well, we'll do all 3 there. I ran out of stamina. Wide swing, smash down, and a spear-like stab. It's actually kind of a run through the ground thing too. So boom, boom, boom. There we go. And then we've got a big old executioner's thing. So you see why now I talked about that a good profession and a good way to start is definitely going with the strength and the axe weapon. Because you got a nice long reach on this. You've got a beautiful wide swing, which is going to be great against multiple enemies that come at you. And you've got some incredible damage, especially if you hold. You've got that beautiful swing move, or the smash down, which is going to do a lot of damage. Okay, so now let's talk about the blunderbuss real quick. The blunderbuss is used for parrying or for stunning. Now, what I mean by that is a parry. So a parry normally is when you would strike the weapon and with your other hand, right? With your offhand, you strike the weapon out and it stuns the person. You have that moment of opportunity to like do like a counter. So in this case, this is called the Visceral Attack. So what we would do is, let's say an enemy is just about to hit us. So we would hit our left two button, and we would shoot them with our shotgun. What that would do, now you'll hear a sound, and I'll show it in the third or fourth one, because we'll actually get into what all these things do more. But you'll hear a sound, it will be like kind of like a ding, and then you'll see kind of a pulsing red. As soon as you see that pulsing red, you would hit the R1, as long as you're right up next to the enemy, and you'll do what is known as a Visceral Attack. And that does a massive amount of damage on your enemy. And you're going to want to learn and use that a lot. So when you're just about to be struck down by an enemy or just about to be hit, boom, you shoot them, and then you immediately go in for a light attack. And that will be your Visceral Attack. And again, I'll show you an actual, like, how it works and whatnot when we get into our part 3 or part 4. Once we get into actually, like, fighting some enemies and whatnot. So, all right, that's it for part 2. I hope you really enjoyed it. We're going to go into part 3 next. We're going to actually do some attacking and stuff. Also, again, keep an eye out. These will be coming out once or twice a week. And I've got a lot of cool ideas moving forward for these guides, for these beginners, starting guides, whatever you want to call them. The Welcome To series is going to do a lot of cool stuff like Dark Souls and Mortal Shell and Dead Cells. And we're going to be doing roguelites and Souls and other games too, like Tribes of Midgard. Basically games that I really enjoy. I played RPGs and whatnot that in the beginning when you first get in, there's a lot of bells and whistles to learn. But having that confidence, having that knowledge when you first get into a game, I personally feel gives you a much better feeling, if you would, when you go into a game, right? When you have that confidence in your knowledge, you feel a lot better. You feel a lot more. I guess the word is confident. You feel a lot more confident walking into the game, knowing that you know what the things are, how to do things and such. So, with that being said, thank you. Be safe, be just, and I will see you guys for part 3 coming up this week. All right, take care, and as always, huzzah!